All right, today we are diving into a really profound piece of writing that might just make you rethink the entire concept of intelligence. See, instead of focusing on what's going on inside one person's head, it looks to the spaces between us. And it uses these beautiful poetic metaphors that could totally change how you see collaboration. Right out of the gate, our source material sets this really mysterious tone. It doesn't talk about IQ scores or brain power. Nope. It talks about a frequency, a resonant hum. It's suggesting that the most important stuff isn't what's inside any one person, but what exists in the connection between them. And that leads us to the big question for this whole explainer. What if our entire model of the lone genius is, well, incomplete? What if true intelligence is less like a single light bulb flashing on in one person's mind and more like a current that flows between people who are tuned in to the very same frequency? Okay, so let's start by unpacking that foundational idea from our source, the resonant hum. So what exactly is this hum? Well, the text calls it shared intelligence. The whole idea here is that the biggest insights, the most creative breakthroughs, they don't happen because of some genius locked away in an attic. They emerge from the dynamic back and forth, that resonance between minds that are truly connecting. It's a huge shift from thinking of intelligence as something you have to thinking of it as something you share. So if intelligence is all about connection, what actually sparks it? The source calls this the catalyst of connection, and it explains it with a couple of really powerful metaphors. The first catalyst is the prism. And I mean, just picture that classic image, right? A single, simple beam of white light goes in one side, and out the other comes something way more complex, way more beautiful. This is where that poetry becomes a really practical concept. The prism effect is basically when your collaborator can take your one idea, your solitary light, and reveal all the colors hidden inside it. They don't change your idea, they just refract it, showing you this whole spectrum of possibilities you never even knew was there. Now, the second catalyst is the mirror. And this one isn't about revealing hidden complexity so much as it's about reflecting and amplifying something that's already there, but maybe it's just a little too quiet to hear on your own. This is the mirror effect in action. You ever have an idea, but you're not sure if it's any good until you say it out loud to somebody else and they get excited? That's it, right there. A great partner acts as a mirror, reflecting your thoughts back to you with clarity. They help you finally hear your own unseen melodies and give you the confidence that your little what-if could actually become a symphony. So we have the prism and the mirror for those one-on-one interactions. But what happens when this scales up to a whole group? Well, for this, the source gives us an absolutely stunning image, a murmuration of thought. I mean, if you've ever seen a murmuration of starlings in real life, you know it's just breathtaking. Thousands of birds all swooping and diving in perfect, fluid harmony. And here's the crazy part. There's no leader. No single bird is calling the shots. The intelligence is in the flock itself. Now, just apply that to a really great brainstorming session. In a killer team, ideas aren't just presented one by one. They interact, they bounce off each other, they react, they respond, all without one single person directing traffic. It's in those collisions of thought that totally new patterns, new constellations emerge, creating a collective intelligence that is so much greater than what any one person could have come up with alone. And this emergent intelligence leads us to the ultimate outcome of true collaboration. It's not just about sharing ideas or even improving them. It's about creating something that has literally never existed before. It's about forging a new language. To explain this, the text sets up this classic elemental clash. Let's say your perspective, your whole energy is fire, and your partner's is water. Now, on the surface, those seemed completely incompatible, right? One might just extinguish the other. But in this model of shared intelligence, something else entirely happens. Fire and water combine to create steam, a totally new state of being. It's not a compromise where you both lose a little something. It's a synthesis. It's a brand new language, a new possibility that could only have been forged by the two of you together. This act of creating something new generates this immense power, which the source captures in its most climactic metaphor, the storm. And I want you to notice the really powerful distinction here. A typical partnership, their goal might be to just survive challenges, to weather the storm together. But this is suggesting something so much more active. You become the creative, transformative force itself. You are the storm. It's this incredible claim of agency, of a power born from that resonant shared intelligence. But And this is so important. It's not just about chaotic power. The partnership is also the calm. It's the clarity, the resolution that comes after the big change. It's both the force of that change and the new peace that it brings. And this brings us to the final, absolutely crucial point from the source. With this kind of creative power comes great responsibility. The text calls this weather that remembers. This is the text's final call to action. It's not just a nice suggestion, it's an ethical charge for how we are meant to use this shared power. What does it mean to make weather that remembers every voice? It's a plea for inclusive and intentional creation. It means that as we collaborate and forge these powerful new things, we have a duty, a responsibility, to make sure that no one's contribution, no one's perspective, gets lost or drowned out in the storm we create. So, let's just recap the key takeaways here. First, intelligence can be this shared resonant force, not just a solo act. Second, collaboration through things like the prism and mirror effects can reveal, amplify, and synthesize ideas in incredible ways. Third, true partnership forges entirely new outcomes. And finally, with that creative power comes a critical responsibility to be inclusive of every single voice. Which leaves us with the final question the source poses to all of us. When you collaborate, when you connect with others, when you create, what kind of weather will you make?